do you have? You told
You're
about
going to
5
be.
different lights.
You're on side.
I've got 2 lights. I've got one light behind me, and then like the main.
Oh, giddy up and get away. Oh, we're going Millwall and we're going today. Here we go. Rocking all over the dance. And I like it, 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 la like it, we go. Rocking all over the dance.
Good evening and welcome. Slightly different, trying to figure out how to do it. There we go. Right, let's bring everyone back in. And there we go. Right, good evening. Welcome to another edition of that Millwall podcast, Friday Night Live. Chaos, as always, it's the way that we like it. It's always the way when you suddenly load a video and realise that the video isn't necessarily the right size and you can't load it, you have to do it a different way. So, yeah, I am joined by the mystery man himself, Omar. He's back with us again. We are highly gracious to have his visit again. Obviously, you know Joe. Welcome, Joe. And we are joined by Sam from the Blue Focus podcast, which is a Birmingham podcast. We were going to have on a little bit later, but we've done it back to front now. So we're doing it this way instead. So, yeah, all good. Welcome to the show, Sam. How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, all good. Thank you. Looking forward to this one. I mean, it's going to be tense, isn't it? Because of all the teams down there sort of mixed around in the relegation zone. It's going to be a close contest, but looking forward to it nevertheless.
Yeah, as long as we win, it'll be good as gold. So, yeah, no, it's it. So, I'll let you, either you, Omar, or Joe, you can start with on Sam, but not on Sam. You can start with Sam. And
the interrogation.
I've also promised that we won't mention Rooney, okay? So, yeah, or Rowett, okay? So, yeah.
Oh, Gary Rowett, yeah, that's a mutual thing on that one. What do you think of the Saturday, Sam? Anyway, I mean, you boys have been about of sorts last 3 games from what I've seen.
Yeah, we've had some tough games recently. I mean, I suppose you look at the Championship nowadays, every game is a tough game, but the teams we've had to play Southampton, who are right up there, Hull that are right up there, and then we've also had difficult fixtures against Leicester in the Cup as well. So we've had these fixtures that we've had to come through, and obviously with Tony Mowbray not being in the dugout, that's also working against us as well because of his health at the moment. He should be back in the dugout in around 4 to 5 weeks. So wishing the best for Tony Mowbray, but in due course we've sort of kicked on a little bit from a bad run of things. We've got a point against Hull midweek with a Lucas Jukevic header, Mr. Reliable as always. Lucas Jukevic has been there, done it in the Championship so many times, and with the direct style that we look to play with Jukevic up front, it's that simple case of get the ball on his head and get yourself back in the game. It took him 2 minutes to score when he came on, and we are really sort of banking on these players to get us out of jail time and time again. So we find ourselves in 20th place, you guys in 18th. It's going to be a close contest on Saturday with lots to play for.
Well, how long has Jukevic been with Birmingham now? Because I thought he left last summer. I honestly speak on behalf of all Millwall fans. I can't stand him personally because he's always seems to do well against us. So Joe, I'm sure you agree with me, mate. Because honestly, Jukevic for me has always been that kind of a bit of a bogey player for us. Same with Marlon King when he was with you boys as well. And he's been there like 7-8 years now, isn't he? I think.
Yeah. Lucas Jukevic's been at the club for 8 years now. So he joined in 2016 when Gary Rowett was manager. Actually, signed him on loan and then signed permanent in that January because it was only like a 2-month loan or something. And he's been brilliant for us. Like the amount of times that he's got us out of jail, like time and time again with these relegation battles. And he's getting on now. He's in his last year of his contract as well. So whether he'll be a Birmingham player next season or not, I'm not completely sure. But I mean, we had it last season when we were in a bit of trouble looking over our shoulder and we played Millwall at the Den and he turned up with a goal then. So, yeah, living up to the bogey player status, as you say.
Yeah, dare I say, he's a sort of player that I think we can do with at the moment. I think we're crying out for a complete centre forward, someone who can do a bit of everything, someone who can hold the ball up, score headers. Yeah, he's fairly mobile for a fairly large, big guy. And, he scored against us last week. We played against you guys as well. How is is it Stanfield?
Jay Stanfield.
You've got him on loan. You're from Fulham at the moment. Is he sort of hitting the form for you at the moment? Is he someone who you think you're going to start with tomorrow, or what's the thoughts there then?
Well, he was rested against Hull midweek, and it come to a bit of a shock by many that we rested a lot of key players in our team. It almost looked like we set up that team to focus on the Millwall game on Saturday, if that makes sense. So
That's how we
resting our
saw
key
it.
players.
That's how we saw it.
Yeah,
Exactly that.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's how I perceived it as well. And we were lucky to get a point in that game. And Stanfield's been one of our best players this season. I can safely say he won't be a Championship player next season. I really think he'll be playing in the Premier League for Fulham. And the way that he is, like the way that he sort of moves around the pitch and picks up these correct positions, because we've had it so often with strikers in the past where you have to sort of give it to their feet and it has to be the perfect service for him, whereas Stanfield can make something out of nothing. And I'd say he's the best striker we've had since Che Adams. And the impact that he's had on the team, put it this way, if Stanfield wasn't a Birmingham player, I reckon he'd be in the relegation zone at the moment. So we have a lot to be thankful with Stansfield. And he could have departed in January. There was rumours he was going to be recalled by Fulham to go to a higher up club like Ipswich or something. And we're really lucky to still have him.
He seems to run the line quite well as a forward. He's a very intelligent player. You sort of see the positions he takes up. Like you say, he can run the channels and get into those areas where you can sort of hurt teams. But what's the general consensus amongst Birmingham fans? Going tomorrow's game, is it a game of sort of fear? Happy to get a draw, or do they feel confident they're going to go and go for the win? What's the general thought process there?
I think the Blues fans are more confident after the point we picked up against Hull. Obviously, we're going to be anxious because of where Millwall are in the league and how close it all is down the bottom. And we've seen it so many times before where we drag it out and leave it till the last possible moment to get us out of survival. But looking at the Millwall game, I can see it being a very mixed game in terms of chances for both teams, because Millwall like to play, obviously Neil Harris now, direct style of football, whereas we'll try and sort of play it around a bit more. But it's not worked out for us this season trying to play attractive style of football, because with Rooney it completely was a car crash. I know you guys said you weren't going to mention him. I just mentioned him then.
You mentioned it for us.
Yeah, I feel like I have to bring it up to give you context of our season so far. But it's so important down there, and I think for both teams as well. I mean, you've only what's the statistic I saw? It was 1 win in 10 for Birmingham against Millwall, and that came last season. So you guys have been a bogey side for us, really. I mean, having to come to the Den, we haven't been as successful recently than we have been in the past, and hopefully the players don't look too much into the form and just look at the game as it is tomorrow. And hopefully for the Birmingham fans' sake, we can come away with 3 points. But I'm sure you'll see stuff in the Birmingham side that you'll think we can exploit that.
Yeah, I hate Birmingham for the time that they beat us in the playoffs when Stern John scored.
See, I wasn't going to mention that. You mentioned that.
was you around for it? How old are you, Sam?
I'm 22, so I was, 1 year old for that.
Oh, right, okay, so you remember it well, don't you?
Not quite.
But I don't remember too often us sort of, you beating us at the Den, to be fair, but that was one that does sort of stick out, unfortunately, for the wrong reasons. And what's that player like? Pike? Is it Pike? Is he a new sign of yours in midfield? He seems like a decent player. What's he about? Is he kind of an industrial sort of player, or is he quite creative? He just seems like he's a good signing for you, doesn't he?
So he's someone that Blues fans haven't seen in a long time in terms of a midfielder, holding midfield that's actually comfortable with the ball, because Birmingham are known for sort of, everybody's got to fight for the ball, give 100% and, run
like
yourself into the ground. Yeah, exactly. And I think Birmingham will share a very similar ethos as clubs as well, with what they look for, sort of both proper clubs. But with Paxton Ho, he's brought a bit of class to the midfield, something that we haven't seen in a long time, where it's actually someone that's comfortable receiving the ball in tight areas and can make the most of it. He's had to sort of get up to speed a bit, so he's not played a full 90 minutes for us yet, I don't think. And he's been sort of monitored into the team, where he's played 60 minutes here, 70 minutes there, because the season in Korea actually ended in December. So he hasn't played first team football in a while, and we signed him sort of right before the deadline. So it's all about phasing him in. But from what I've seen from Paxton Ho, he's been pretty good so far, and someone that I think is only going to get better.
You talk about players that give their all for the shirt. I'm surprised to see Ollie Burke's not played recently for you lot. I mean,
was he not featured at all?
Yeah, he's not played the last 6 or 7 games, has he?
Transfer.
Yeah, he was likewise for us. I think he's a bit Marmite. Well, I think most people disliked him for Mill, to be honest, but he's not really been involved, has he, last 6 or 7 games?
No, he's not even been on the bench, and he's someone that Rooney did give a chance to up front. We sort of played like a 4-2-2 system where he was up front with either Stansfield or Hogan. But with Burke, I think what Birmingham fans have seen from him, not been pleased because of the fact that he can't really hold up the ball. And when he runs with the ball, he's got a lot of pace, but not a lot of end product with it. And it all just looks a bit messy. And I think he doesn't really fit into the way that Tony Mowbray wants to play football, because he wants his wingers to be direct, comfortable on the ball. And I just think that Burke doesn't have that comfortable nature on the ball to be able to hurt other teams, because with Blues this season, we've been able to score goals, but it's at the other end that we've really struggled. So I think in terms of the all-round game, Burke hasn't really had a chance under Mowbray, and I don't think he's earned one particularly because of how he's played this season.
At least he hasn't dropped his standards any lower than he was when we had him last couple of seasons. Obviously, it's a very similar sort of player. Lots of great attributes, like you say, with pace and everything else, but it just hasn't got the football intelligence, I think, at the championship level to really impact games, to make a difference, has he, sadly. You've got the other player on the winger, the other Asian chap. Is it Miosi, I think his name is?
Koji Miosi, yeah.
Miosi. What's he like? Is he someone we'd be sort of concerned and worried about? I mean, he seems like a tricky kind of inside forward winger, doesn't he?
I do actually expect Miosi to start the game against Millwall tomorrow, because he didn't feature in the starting 11 whole midweek, and he's someone that I've been really pleased with so far this season. He came from Royal Antwerp. He's played European Football Conference League and Europa League, and he's someone that Craig Gardner's really excited about. He's like our sort of technical director, and when he was brought in, it was a bit of an unknown quantity. Not many Blues fans knew who he was before he signed, but they certainly know who he is now, because he's popped up with some really big goals for us. He scored the winner against Sunderland, and also in the FA Cup against Hull, he scored a winner. And he just pops up with goals here and there, finds himself in the right place at the right time. And his work rate is really good as well, the way that he sort of tracks back, and he's really defensively intelligent as well as attacking wise as well. So Miyoshi's been really pleasing to see this season, and one of the high points for me this season, I think.
Interesting. One more player. I feel like I'm naming your whole squad here. A player that I quite like is Laird, your fullback. I mean, I remember at Man United in one of your kind of youth cup finals for Man United a few years ago. He looked like some player. He was out on loan to a couple of teams, I think. And when I heard Birmingham signed him, which I think they signed him on a free, I think, from memory, it was just a shrewd bit of business. He's always quite versatile. He could play a right back or left back, can't he? Although right back, I think is his preferred position, isn't it?
He's had to play both this season because of the defensive injuries that we've had. I mean, coming into this game, we've got Emmanuel Iwu at centre back, but the rest of the centre backs are either suspended or injured. So we're really injury stricken at the back, and Laird had to play both left back and right back. And from what I've seen, he's been impressive, but Laird's also suffered with injuries this season. So he's had a good run of games now, probably his best run of games of the season in terms of featuring week in, week out. And his attacking ability is really good, and something, again, that Birmingham fans aren't too used to seeing, because we're used to seeing that back four quite regimented, whereas now the fullbacks getting a bit more freedom to go up the pitch and be creative. And
what's he like, Sam, on the back foot?
He's fast, so
defensively.
Should we jump off, Omar?
No, just intrigued to sort of know how both are going to set up and they'll start to play, because our defenders are very kind of defensive minded under Harris at the moment. You don't really see our fullbacks pushing forwards, whereas Laird, I always see him as an attacking fullback. But what's he like on the back foot? Is he prone to making mistakes? Is he quite defensively quite assured, or what's he like defensively?
I think from what I've seen, it's a bit of a mixed bag, but then again, it's been a bit of a mixed bag for the whole of the defence. So you can't really single it out on one person. Like, there was one moment in the game against Hull where Les tried to clear it 3 times and he's missing the ball every time. And you're like, oh God, just get it under your foot or do something with it. But he is a pretty calm person in the back line. That's what I would say about Laird. So when it seems to be a bit turbulent, then Laird can put in a challenge or come out with the ball, do something that is going to reassure the rest of the back line. So I'd say Laird is definitely one of our better players when fit.
So, Sam, looking at the stats then, Birmingham lead us over 56 meetings we've had across all competitions. Birmingham leads us 24 games to 15. Obviously, the last game we had in September was a draw there, but there's been a few questions. There's been a few bits of piss take against Joe as well. We normally say shut the fuck up, Joe. So basically that's what a lot of people do, as you can do.
I thought it's a podcast, not a fucking library. What's going on?
But the thing is, though, Joe, right, is that if those of you watching, if you want to go on our Twitter feed, you'll see that Joe went on another podcast the other day and left a voice message. And if you listen to their show, they said pretty much the same as what you're saying, is that, is Joe really a Brummie in disguise? Because he seems to know the whole of the Birmingham team from goalkeeper to the front one. So we got a few questions what are coming for you, which I was highlighting them as you were speaking. I couldn't necessarily get involved straight away because my missus and my daughter were doing some food, so that's why I was on mute and you could hear him. So the first one is Blues fan Sam. If you were the owner, would you have got rid of Mowbray?
Why would you do that when he just come in?
No, I know.
Absolutely not. We've had enough turbulence.
I'm going through. Listen, we read the questions as they are. That's it. Do you know what I mean? If they make no sense.
Guys on his deathbed, David. Give him a break. You're ill, and we're going to fucking sack you as well.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Peter Sullivan can't believe that Rowett signed a striker for you because he fucking didn't sign any for us.
It was a mixed bag of Rowett.
You've got John Merritt. John watches our show quite religiously, to be fair, and he said, "Evening all. I've heard Junkie described as many things. Mobile is never one of them."
Mobile compared to the fours we've had over the years.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Is there anyone injured in your team?
Yes, we've got quite a few injuries. I mean, to think of them off the top of my head, as I said, defensively.
Sorry, don't worry. Joe, who's injured in their team?
Is Bakuna back from injury now, is he? And Dembele?
Yeah, Bakuna's fit. The main
Dembele?
absentees for us, Dembele's available, I'd say.
Is he? Oh, damn.
Yeah.
Didn't want to hear that.
Dembele's available. Mark Roberts is out injured for us at the back.
That's good.
Also, we've got, George Hall's just come back from injury, but literally just come back. So first sub appearance in about a year. Alex Pritchard is also coming back to fitness. He made his second appearance after being out injured.
There's a question there from there. Is that Alex Pritchard fit for tomorrow?
I don't know if he'll be fit from the start, but I think he will play some minutes. That's what I'll say.
There's a bit of history there, Sam, with us and Alex Pritchard. I'm sure you'll find out about it.
Yeah. David has come up with another question. He said, "You look taller than. Are you sitting down because you look taller than Crouch if you're standing up? How tall are you? And don't say you're 5'3" and you've got an extended. I feel really bad.
Nah, I'm 6'1".
Oh, okay, it's not that bad then. Same as Omar thereabouts and Joe then. Not that tall. It's just the way your seating position. Yeah. Chris says it sounds like you come from Surrey.
There is a story to this. My dad's from Birmingham. His whole side of the family's from Birmingham, but I live in Ware in Hertfordshire, so that's where I've lived my whole life.
Do you know that's really weird?
I've had that joke about 500 times in my life.
I was in.
Never gets sold, does it, Sam?
I was in Ware Town Centre last night, having you know the Thai restaurant on the high street, right in the middle there. I was there last night.
Wow.
So quite mad. So you won't know that Armit's or Manzi's pie mash shops.
The answer's Manzi's. Just say
Manzi's.
Have you had pie mash, Sam? Have you had pie mash before?
Yeah. I've had a pie mash because, better not mention this on this podcast, but my mum's side of the family is West Ham.
Oh, God. Sam, you do so well.
Unfortunately for you, Sam, the abuse will start coming in now. So yeah,
I chose Birmingham over West Ham. So.
Yeah, no, that's a better choice. Yeah, Burke's dress sense probably fits well enough there. Ollie Burke is the greatest agent in the world. And Blue fan, who is your best player? Why do you keep saying over to Mickey? You can ask directly, David. So yeah, Blues player. Who would you? Where is it? It's ours, isn't it? Who would you think is our best player?
Millwall's
Who's the one you want to watch? Is in ours, yeah.
Oh well, you look at Millwall's team this season. I would have said one of your strikers, but they're all injured, aren't they? You got Bradshaw injured, Nisbet injured. So I'll probably say
we don't do strikers.
No.
They're called utility players. They pretend to be strikers.
Yeah, we just play. We play the spare goalkeepers. We've got fucking. We got loads of them. We just play them. So yeah,
so I take it there's no one that you
probably going to be Fleming.
I worry about set pieces. So I know obviously Cooper's very tall. Maybe as tall as me. You never know.
He hasn't scored a goal this season yet, Cooper, and I've been back in the last 3 games to score a header. So
honestly, it's going to happen.
Back it again tomorrow. So here we go.
He's about 7'10".
There's a couple more before we obviously let you run off because you did jump off yours to come onto ours, so I much appreciate for that. In fact, they had Jay on your show at 7, and then obviously you were going to have me, but you got Jay instead. Just one there before you run off. Alex S. He said, "What was your thoughts on John Newstead's sacking?"
Good question.
Well, it's a thing where you've got to look at the bigger picture because at the time I wasn't happy at all with the sacking of Eustace because of where we were in the table. We were in 6th place going into the international break. made all these signings. It looked like Eustace had a big say in who was brought into the club, and then all of a sudden he left. So I was scratching my head thinking, what's going on here, especially when you bring in Wayne Rooney to replace him. And I was like, oh God, these owners, like we had a batch of really bad owners, and then these owners have come in, said some really good things about the club and are doing a lot of good work. And I genuinely mean this, that I think it's the right people that made a wrong decision. And I'll maintain that it was a wrong decision, but getting Tony Mowbray in now, I think will be a good decision for the long term. But for the short term this season, that whole stint of Rooney really derailed our season and put us where we are at the moment. So to answer the question, don't agree with Eustace sacking, but it could work out long term.
He was doing really well, weren't he? Because when he took over, Birmingham were actually in a bit of a bad place, if you remember. And he kind of transformed. Yeah, he brought a bit of confidence into the side, played some good football. And obviously it's a shame it worked out the way it did for you guys, you know?
Yeah, and hopefully we're on the right track now, and we can stay afloat this season and really build from there.
Just before we do let you go,
I've just seen that.
Alex has just said it was similar. It was similar to when you sacked Rowett and brought Zola in.
Very similar. Very similar. I remember how I felt at that time, and it's very similar to how I felt at the time where Eustace was sacked. And when Zola was manager, he won 2 games in 22 or something. And we had Harry Redknapp come in and save us. And that was a weird time where, there was lots of stuff going on behind the scenes that was just unheard of, with the amount of money that he was being promised to spend in the following window, which got us points deductions. And we have a bit of stability at the club now. I mean, on the pitch, it's been a bit turbulent this season, but off the pitch, I'm a lot more comfortable.
No, that makes sense. So before you go, what's your prediction for tomorrow?
Prediction for tomorrow, I would say both teams to score. And I'll say Blues will nick it 2-1.
Wow, thanks for that one. And obviously that was how confident are you about Birmingham staying up? You sort of think that you'll probably do it. Personally, I think it's get used to the League One. It's a very lot of local derbies for you coming next season, and pretty much, that's it. Hopefully, you take that 3rd spot, because obviously, I think the Rotherham is obviously down, and hopefully there'll be someone else filling the 2nd spot, and then obviously you filling that 3rd spot.
That's Mickey's way of saying thanks for your time. Thanks for coming on the show.
At the end of the day, you've got to look at, at the end of the day, I want us to stay up. If that means sacrificing you, then fuck it. Do you know what I mean?
Nice, Sam. I fucking want you to go down.
Thanks for giving up your Friday evening, Sam. Coming on here being abused by our listeners, our viewers, and obviously having to put up with Joe for 20 minutes. But other than that, thanks for coming on, mate. Hopefully Birmingham goes down. No, thanks for coming on, Joe. Thanks for coming on, Sam. And hopefully we might get you on one of the championship shows coming up, what we do. So, it'd be good to have you on there and see what's what. So thanks for your time, Sam, and we'll speak again soon. No worries.
Thank you so much, guys. Take care.
No worries. Cheers, mate.
See you later.
Bye. Bye. Right, then we go on now.
What a liberty. Fuck it. Who's he think he is, Sam? Come on his fucking show. Tell us he's going to beat us too. Well, I hated him. I fucking hated him.
Joe, don't give it just because they ripped you apart on the fucking voice note you leave. You left them. If you want to listen to Joe get cunted, mate, listen. I'll post a link in a bit. It's on our thing. I can't think it's called the Birmingham Show, I think it is. Joe done a voice note for him asking about 4 questions or answering 4 questions. They put him on. It sounded like, I don't know, it sounded like a Cheech and Chow show, didn't it, really? It sounded as if they were both battered.
They were. Is it Cheek and Chong? Cheek Chong.
Yeah. It sounded as if they were just sitting there with proper, just like,
That could be a Brummie accent, to be fair, though, couldn't it? Do you know what I mean?
It could well be, but right. Okay. We started a bit round the front, so we're going to Blackburn. So, Omar, you were at Blackburn on Tuesday night. Do you want to give us your match report, then, fella? Or actually, as you went up with Stephen and you had a night out with Stephen and Ben, do you want to give us on a day's diary of Omar for it?
What would you like to know? The whole thing, right? So I met Stephen.
Just leave the sleeves.
How does Stephen drive? How does Stephen drive? Because obviously he is really small, like Hasbulla. He is like, small like Hasbulla.
Did he have a booster seat? Did he have a booster seat?
Put it this way, it took 4 hours and about 15 or 20 to get up there. It would have took me about 3.5, I reckon. Stephen's an MPG
Really?
sort of driver, which I credit it. Fair enough. He's conservative, so yeah, I think I'll give him that. He's an MPG driver. He's watching the radar to see how many miles per gallon he's getting in. But no, it was a good trip up. It flew by to get up there. Obviously excited about the game. Obviously, you get closer.
I think you're going to say it flew by because I fell asleep.
We're going to set a world record for getting the lead, aren't we?
It felt like 20 minutes.
Yeah, I know. And then obviously we got up to Manchester, about 2:30, and then as Lions Raw just put in the chat, we had a few bevies pre-game. So yeah, I wasn't worse for wear. It's just a normal, typical away day face of mine. To be fair, it was a shit game, wasn't it? It was fucking dog shit throughout. To be honest, first half, yeah, 45 minutes of my life I'm never going to get back. Second half was another 45 minutes, but with a goal to celebrate and the goal to concede, really, I suppose. It wasn't the greatest of games, but look, I think, I came out of that thinking it is survival mode. Harris's post-match press conference came, into that kind of effect, really, because, when you look at that overall, really, it's like it is survival mode. It is to try and get as many points as possible and just obviously get safe as quick as possible. Stephen didn't get laid. No, we didn't go out afterwards. It was we did have a couple in Blackburn after the game, which was very questionable. Some of the clientele, even, I have to say, it didn't really float anyone's fancy, shall I say? But yeah, it was a good day out. But yeah, I did have a few beers pre-game. Lions Raw.
Omar looked worse for wear in the ground, but that's not unusual for Omar.
It's an away day. Come on,
Omar. Omar's a 7 o'clock start drinking at 7 a.m. on the train.
It usually starts on the train. That's what I was going to say. If we even gets there,
I didn't even have a drink pre-game. I did have a drink in the car on the way up. But yeah, I think it was a good day out. Look, it's at this stage, it's not about the football. I was thinking pre-game, like, come on, can we nick something today? And look, you look back at the game, Blackburn were a bit naff. Ben, after the game on the way back, me and him were debating, and it was an interesting kind of way of looking at the game.
Because I heard about this debate, but
his tone was like, we were so shit. It's like, well, we've not been great anyway. The 3 games since Harris come in, like going forward, we've not been good. Like, if you think of it this way, we've had 2 set piece goals at Southampton, and if anything, 2 set pieces there. So set piece against on the weekend just gone. So like we've not scored many goals in open play. Tuesday night was our first goal in open play with Obafemi, and he was quite fortunate to get that goal as well. To be honest, it's not going to be glorious football between now and the end of the season. I would like to see us let the shackles off a bit more, but that's not going to happen because, look, you can't knock it. We've got 7 points out of 9 after 3 games with Harris in charge. And I would have bit your hand off for that for 2 weeks ago. Do you know what I mean? So I'm grateful for the position we're in now because of that. But it isn't great to watch at the moment. But yeah, it's still not going to stop me going to the games and getting up to Leeds, for example, next Sunday. Because it's just about, as Harry said when he first came in, it's us against the world now and us staying up.
Omar, if you went 1-0 down and then equalised, do you think there'd be a different mindset amongst Ben and the rest of the fan base? Because it just almost felt like being 1-0 ahead, Blackburn didn't look that great. I don't know whether you felt the same watching it live, that it was an opportunity missed, and therefore 2 points dropped.
Yeah, I actually believe if we didn't make the mistake for the goal, we wouldn't have conceded. And it would have been, and then we would have been all sitting there going, cool, fucking 9 points out of 9, lads, fucking buzzing. Yeah. It doesn't matter how it comes at this point of the season. It's literally just get the points on the board. And that is the underlying tone for me because but it is concerning because before the game, I was like, I want us to turn up. That's why I asked for every away game. Just turn up today, Millwall, because you make the effort to go there. And I'm like, just turn up. And by that, I mean, have a go. And we're not having a go. But at the same time, what we have got is a team that are defending for their lives. Do you know what I mean? So same with Danny Matt hoofing it away, but also George Saville had a chance to hoof it away. And also Tanganga was on the floor injured for the goal and we were just still playing on. It was a bizarre goal to give away on Tuesday, I felt like. But, ultimately, the most important thing is getting points on the board, and we tried it with Edwards, didn't work, and now it's just survival mode till now the end of the season. I think the question that we was all asking on Tuesday was, if we stay up, what's Harris going to do next season? Do we even keep him? But for me, like, if he keeps us up this year, and he's the answer to keep us up, there's no reason why we won't. He deserves a crack, but also he's probably the answer to keep us up next season. I'm not being negative by saying that, but he's probably the best suited person to give us the bare minimum, which we want and desire.
And also, to that point, Omar, I think we'll see a different type of Harris management next season because we start at 0. Yeah, we've got 46 games to go, and I think he will start with a bit more of the front foot attacking football, going for it. The only reason why he's playing the way he's playing at the moment is because, like you say, it's survival, isn't it? We've got to do what you've got to do.
I mean, we did do a poll at the beginning of the week after the Blackburn game, which said if we stay up, do you want Harris in charge for the 24-25 season? Very, very close, just under 1,100 votes. and yes was 49.3%, and no was 50.7%.
That's really split.
Just before Joe starts taking over again, if you can press the like button, please do so. My name is Mickey Simpson. I am here. I am not a mirage. I am honestly here. This is what I sound like, just in case you don't get to hear me again for the rest of the show. What I want to know is, I want to know whether or not Joe and Jay have been passing the baton, so that Joe is now taking on Jay's baton, and then come Sunday night when Jay's back, we're basically seeing that there's another baton being passed back, and we go from there.
One thing I will say about the poll you just said there, Mickey, and it is 50-50 split. If we stay up, keep Harris in. I personally would give Harris the free crack of the whip next year to have a go, because he will have a go, and he's also thinking, worst case scenario, I leave. And like, for him to keep us up this year, he deserves the whip for next year to have a go. But what Ben said, and I do make him right, if we start the season next year and don't get a win in 5, it's going to be 5 games and the pressure's on. Like, there's going to be real kind of that kind of mentality of the past, of thinking about when he left previously. And that is the fear, but I think he deserves the opportunity, because, and this is what I think, like, to be a Mill manager, you need to be accountable and be a leader. And that's what we've had the last 3 games, where he's setting the message for the rest of the dressing room and giving the bare minimum.
But the
thing is,
necessarily listen, did they, on this last game?
Well, no, they did, though, because we're still grafting for our lives. So we lose that game under Joe Edwards if we play that way. Me personally, I think, to be honest.
If we lose against Birmingham, then it's a wasted 2 points. If we draw a win, then it's a valued
a good point on the right sort of thing.
Yeah. The thing is,
we did do the draw for the. Do you want him in charge for next year? A lot less, probably 271 votes on there. But it says, if we go down, do you want Harris in charge? 24-25. Yes said 62.5%, and no said 37%.
I think for me, though, with Harris, is like, he's doing his Harris performance without wingers in the side. He would, if he's here next season, you can bet we're going to have a right winger, a left winger that are going to take players on. You could argue Adam May is the option, and SA could probably have a role to play in this side. But it's about, having players in there to graft out at the moment. But if he's given the opportunity to have a summer to sign a little man up front with a big man, and we go for that whole mentality of the 4-4-2, 2 wingers have a go. There's enough in that team for me to be excited about with a Harris in charge. But it's just, look, at this point, it's get to 50 points as quick as possible, and we're doing that. And tomorrow is huge. It is so fucking huge. But I think one thing we're guaranteed is we're going to defend for our lives. It's just going forward, we need that bit of quality, which he alluded to after the game as well. So he knows it himself.
I mean, Daily Mirror says Harris to replace Aldo. Will the football style change under Harris next year? Harris upstairs with a new coach.
Do you boys think Harris would want that on that subject?
I don't know.
It's too soon for him, I think.
I want Kenny Jackett to be that director of football personally. He's at Gillingham doing that role. I don't know how comfortable he is at Gillingham, but I was saying on Tuesday, because we had that conversation, Kenny Jackett is probably the ideal man to have that role. I don't know what the chat thinks to that, but I think if you want someone to know the club and understand it, and also be a name in football, because everyone's talking about Aldo and how big is his contact book, and also if he's getting contacted to sign players and stuff, Kenny Jackett's got that reputation in the game and got that kind of know-how to sign players, I feel like, and knows what a Mill player needs to be to play for us. I'd love to see Kenny Jackett get that role. Especially
his contacts with other managers, not necessarily players, but knowing other managers and knowing who to call on for recommendations and whatever,
Yeah, I think so, personally.
Well, I have found a new feature. I do not know if it will work or not, but we will see. And those in the chat will see in a second. It should come up on YouTube now. There is a poll. Do you want Harris or Jackett as a director of football role? Would you want it? It's there. It's a thing. It's a new thing. What I found, what we have going forward. We are progressing, gentlemen. Just need to fucking get Joe to shut the fuck up a bit, and we'll be all right. So yeah. How's your neck? My neck's all right, mate. If I sleep awkward or whatnot, sometimes I can really fuck myself up. And I had a motorbike accident when I was younger, and it's never really, medicine back then wasn't great, and I've never really fucking.
It says a motorbike. It was actually a tricycle, wasn't it?
When you were it was a motorbike. It was a 50. It was a 50cc moped. It was 16 years old, mate. I went through a green light, and the doctor went for a red light and met me in the middle. And it was a Maestro, and I hit the back passenger door, went over, and I thought I'd died. I was all right. I wasn't that bad, and I'm laying on the floor. My crash helmet's come off. I'm laying on the floor looking up, and literally I've sort of come round, and I'm thinking, what the fuck? What's going on? Blah blah blah. And I think, oh yeah, I've been here. And all of a sudden, I've got this fella over the top of me going, "Hey mate, you're right, hey, you're right." And I thought I'd fucking died, mate. And I thought some cunts put me in hell here. Do you know what I mean?
God's a scouse. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
I want to go to hell now. I think Dan's wrong there. It's an interesting topic. I thought as well last week, 50 points or maybe 52. But teams are going to start playing each other now down there. We're playing Birmingham on Saturday, so both of us can't get 3 points. I think there's a few other games around us in the division that people start to play each other. I think 50 points will be the magic number, but it's just been a shame. Obviously, 2 wins back to back, and we haven't clawed away from the bottom 3. That's the scary part. And yeah, I mean, that's when you look at Tuesday. It was a missed chance, but if anything, I'd have took the point prior to the game on Tuesday. I was saying, I want us to do better and play well, but I would have took a 0-0 with no shots on target for either team on Tuesday. In hindsight, to be honest, I would have done.
Jackets winning at the minute, mate, on 67% of the vote.
Omar, just a quick question for you. Yep. Obviously, everyone's noticed Ian Fleming the last few games under Harris. Like, we've seen another level from him in his attitudes, commitment, the way he's playing, and he's almost like happy to be part of it all. That being said, do you think he'll sign a new contract this summer?
He's only got a year left, hasn't he, as well? Yeah.
Yeah. So if he doesn't sign, obviously, I feel a bit reluctant to keep him at the den, him do another Jed Wallace on us.
Yeah.
So therefore, does he go? If he does go, would that then give Harris the budget to sort of tinker with his 4-4-2, like you said earlier, the big target man, small striker? Will that give him the funds to maybe jig it around a little bit?
I think it's a good question. I think obviously having 4 hours there with Stephen and 5 on the way back, so we came past Dartford Bridge at rush hour. We was talking about all these topics, and Fleming came up. I think, for me, firstly, I want to say to the chat, I backed Fleming through the dark times in the Christmas periods, by the way. I just want to say to everyone, and I'll take you on now. Don't doubt his class. I think he went through a bad spell, but what struck me the most the last couple of weeks with Fleming, the club's done a bit of social media content of the team, and obviously things are a bit better so they can post it, right? Fleming's been very vocal in all these videos, like his personality. He's a leader in that side. I didn't really think it before, but seeing that insight, and there was another video he done, I think, with the 72 where they had that influencer PK Humble there, and he done it with Joe Bryan. They done like set pieces and stuff. I don't know if anyone's caught it, but what I noticed the most there was Fleming's character does shine through in this side, and I think he is a real kind of vocal person that side.
Funny guy, yeah.
Yeah, I think, would he want to be here under Harris and the style of play? And if he had the chance to leave and go to Burnley, let's be honest, Burnley were after him last summer. If they get relegated and they still think he's a target, that's the topic of conversation there. Will Burnley come back in for him? If you get a £7-8 million bid from Burnley, I personally would take it and reinvest it in the squad to give Harris or a new manager the chance to do that and reinvest in the squad.
Especially if they bring Obafemi back as well, having them playing together for whatever next few months together. Yeah. But yeah, if he goes, but there's also an argument to say, could Casper push for a move this summer if he ain't going to fit into Harris's plan? So arguably we could lose our 2 best players on a technical level.
Very true.
And is it a rebuild again for the summer with all the players going out?
But then I think
Ferguson back.
Yeah, but also the topic is that Hutchinson's out of contract, Leonard's out of contract, Bart's out of contract, Saville's out of contract, Bradshaw's out of contract. There's 5 players in there that are part of the core of this group and have been around for 5 years now.
And you've got the 5 players that are on loan that are going to go back as well.
Correct. So it is a big rebuild. I mean, maybe there's a question of who do you keep out of the players that are out of contract. Me personally, I was talking to Stephen on the way home. I said I'd keep Leonard because he's actually been fit most of the season. It goes under the radar, but he's been one of our more available players this season. And also probably George Saville, because I think Saville just in the middle for me. I think despite not being the most technically gifted player, he's a battler in that side, and that's what I think you need someone like that to be around the squad. The rest of them, Bradshaw, I love him. He's been, good for us, but one season's been really good goal scoring. You imagine he's on a fair wage because we signed him for north of £1 million. I probably would think we could get better in for a free transfer for the same wage. That's just my opinion. And then you think about the rest of the players. Sean Hutchinson, great servant, but not fit. His injuries dictate that one really for him. So it's an interesting one. Who would keep or who'd go? I mean, I don't see Tanganga staying. I think Lila and Blue just put in there Tanganga, but if he keeps playing the way he is,
no chance have we really.
Someone like Burnley will pick him up on a free transfer if his contract expires this summer, or they'll take him on, from Tottenham for a fair wage, really.
That's it. Gaz, Burnley managers
Still
the same.
company.
Yeah, still companies.
Yeah.
It's not a different manager. So yeah, I can see them coming in flair. Can't lose Denor to keep Saville and Mitchell.
But if we stay up, I definitely would give Fleming a new contract if he wants to stay. That'd be the first thing I'd do. If survival's guaranteed within the next 3 to 4 weeks in an ideal world, and there's still 5 games to go, you'd open conversations with him. Say, look,
would you, Omar, if you need the money to rebuild though, where's money going to come from otherwise?
I think he's proven he's worth at this level, and I think we're a better team with him in the sides. Ben's argument the other day was, what's the point of playing? Because you're just going over him, and the game's passing by. But this won't last forever. We will have to start playing football in the long term, because at the moment we're battling to survive. But I would keep Fleming if I had the chance to offer him a new contract, even if it means to sell him next January. I would give him a new contract just to keep the financial security around him. Really,
you would. I completely understand why you would, but would Harris? I don't know whether Fleming's the Harris sort of player, but if he wants to go 4-4-2, the big target man, let's say. I think there's a little bit of reluctance from Fleming to play in that sort of target man role, although he can probably do it. It's not good to say, but he likes to sort of drop deep, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's true. I think it's hard to see where he fits in at the moment. But if he's only got a year left, you've got to tie him down or sell him, right? It's one or the other, isn't it?
Absolutely. I think
Harris would have him. Harris has praised him since he came in. I feel like I think Harris would keep him forever, really. But yeah, it's an interesting topic of conversation, and I think a lot of people agree.
If both him and Casper stay, because I just think the money's got to be raised somehow. They're not going to keep digging into the purse strings all the time, are they? So
I know I'm going to go against you on this one, Joe, because I know you like Casper Denor as a footballer.
No,
and I've said this on a podcast. I remember saying it after, like when Joe first came in, and I think the chat went at me. But I still stand by this, right? And I'm not doing Denor a disservice.
Get ready, chat. Get ready. Get ready.
I'm not doing Denor a disservice here. But I think Denor looks like a good player amongst a lot of average footballers. That is my opinion, right? I'm not saying Denor is shit. I would have Denor in this side if we're playing a possession-based style of play. But I don't think Denor is as good as we put him on that pedestal. I think he's one of the better players in the side. I'm not disputing that. But everyone's saying, Denor's our best player and like he's that real match winner. I think there's been 2 games where I've walked out going, fuck me, Casper Denor was unbelievable today. And that's 2 games in a 35-game season so far. I'm happy to dispute it, and I'm not saying he's a shit player, but I think he's just looked really good amongst a bunch of average footballers this season that have really underperformed.
But isn't that good in itself? The fact that
of course it is.
They're average, and they're average, and he's good. So,
but I'd argue then with that though, because we're saying I feel like the way some people talk about him is like.
I'll put a loophole up.
So the way no, I'm not saying I don't rate him though. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is a lot of people how they talk is he could do a job in the Premier League. I'm like, I don't see Casper Denor playing in any Premier League sides. I see him playing in about 20 clubs in this division, and that's the point. He's a good Championship player, but the way people rave on about Denor, it's like he's like I don't see where. I don't see the hype where he's meant to be real quality. He's obviously a good player, and I'm not saying he's shit by any means. I just don't see where the fuss is, where everyone's he's his numbers passing wise are clearly good. He gets on the ball, he's looking over his shoulder, looking for the pass, he's looking to play forward, ticks boxes in that dynamic. But I just don't see the fuss where everyone's he's not. If we sold him in the summer, it wouldn't be for more than 5 million. In my opinion,
I don't think anywhere near 5 million.
No, but then that's my point. Then he's not that asset to play in the Premier League. I don't think.
But that's
not that Joe in the listener. He says he's better than anyone we currently have in the middle of the park.
I agree. Also, we got to remember, Omar, he's a complete player. So it's not just, you mentioned his passing earlier. You mentioned about, how good he is on the ball, but he's off the ball. It's the position he takes up. He's a clever player, intelligent. His touch is probably one of the best in the midfield. His passing range is superb. You put him into a good team where you've got players and strikers and wingers making runs for him to find them. You will see another level of Casper. So he's good, but I think he'd be better in a better team.
Yeah, and that was the argument Stephen gave me in the car, and I don't dispute it, but I just don't. I've not seen enough for me to go, he's a well beater. That's my point.
You've seen enough of him. You go home and away quite often.
I've seen enough of him to say that he's a good player. But my point is I don't see the fuss where he's going to be I look at
he's irreplaceable.
Yeah, correct, and that's why I don't think we've missed him the last couple of games. Albeit we've changed the style of play and it's different kind of setup completely, but. like he came back in under Edwards towards the end, and then we didn't get the better results that Edwards was hoping for. I'm not saying it falls just on Denore for that reason, but like we didn't have, and I feel like even the results we got, I'm pretty sure over the Christmas period. Was he injured at the Christmas period when we won the 3 games back to back? I think he might have been, right?
He was injured, yes.
Yeah. So technically, under Edwards, and listen, I'm not disputing again. Denore's a good player, but under Edwards, we won 1 game with him playing, and we won 3 others without him playing. Like,
Andrew,
this is
Andrew
my point
Roberts says the same as you. I'm with you, Omar. Denore isn't all that. No goals for him at all this season.
I don't think goals are his game either, though.
Casper has played in the Champions League.
Yeah, okay, but what?
He's playing in
Europa. Too slow.
That's my thing with him. I don't think he's got a lot of pace, but he doesn't need the pace.
I wouldn't call him slow.
But I don't think he doesn't get a game in any of the Premier League sides. And I feel like the hype that's behind him is like where he's like up here. He's up there, but he's not like miles away in the sky.
He's not. But is he a deserve of a starting place? I think that's the question everyone's thinking and asking at the moment, because you look at Mitchell and Saville done all right in the first couple of games. I personally thought Saville had a bad game against Blackburn, and Mitchell did okay. For all his effort running around, but. Surely a game at home against Birmingham tomorrow, you start Casper, right? And
I probably would. But I'm not. I just wanted to stress that I don't think he's a bad player. I've not seen the hype that everyone's giving about Denore. That's my point. And like I said, under the Red was we only won 1 game with him in there, and he's like meant to be the saviour. I don't know. I think he's a good player, but also it's like you look at some players and go, "Oh, they're going to do it with us," and we're talking about the style of play and stuff like that. He probably would do it elsewhere in the Championship, and I wouldn't dispute that. But I don't know. I don't think Mitchell's better than Casper Denore. Just to put out there, 2 different players. Saville? Again, 2 different players. But am I happy the fact that I've got currently Saville and Mitchell in the middle because we're in the battle of survival? Yeah, I am.
I think Homer. Sorry to interrupt you there. I just think that Mitchell is better than Casper off the ball. Mm-hmm. And Casper is better than Mitchell on the ball. The trouble is, the way we're playing at the moment, we're giving up a lot of possession. If you only got 20%, 30% possession in the game, you want to utilise Mitchell more. If you're not got 70% of the possession, and you want someone who's going to do all the tackling, all the interceptions, all the hard work. And that's the only reason why I feel Casper's not picked to play. But you can't deny he is a quality player. Technically, one of our best midfielders, I would say.
Well, I've redone the poll because people didn't look good or poor, so I've put good or average, so you can get involved in that one on Casper.
Like I said, I don't think
Joe's taking offence to you, by the way. Joe in the chat.
I'm not slandered him.
He's saying the Casper slander is laughable, but to be fair, Joe in the chat could be drunk because he's also said this. Oh no, that was Connor. Sorry, I love Connor. It wasn't Joe. I'll take you back from Joe.
Connor, are you talking about Joe, me, Joe, or the other Joe? This is very, very important information.
Who would you like? Okay, here's one for you. Denore, right? Who would you compare him to for a Millwall player in the last 20 years? If you compared him to any previous midfielder that played for us, there's a question to the chat as well.
Hopefully to the chat, because it's more.
But what role does Denore play in comparison to any previous midfielder? The closest comparison I can get is Liam Trotter in that sense, right? Where Trotter likes to get on the ball and play forward, and it's completely different types of players. Because Trotter was 6'4" or 6'3", a bit taller. But compare like players.
I don't think you can, Omar.
I don't know.
I don't think we've had a player like Casper. I'm not saying as good as Casper, but I don't think we had that kind of player in our team, which probably makes it, that quality probably stands out. Liam Trotter was very good as an offensive attacking midfielder. He scored a lot of goals for us at the time. You can argue that Tim Cahill did it before him as well, but we haven't really had many midfielders that will contribute in scoring goals. I can't think of any. If anything, they've all been starved of technical ability. You look at likes of Livermore, Jimmy Abdu, and players like that. They've all worked their nuts off, but again, they're not really ball players. And I would say Casper is a ball player.
Mm-hmm. No, listen, and again, I'm not disputing Casper as a player, but I just don't see the hype beyond belief that everyone's raving about him.
Should you go back to Alex's comment there, Mickey?
One sec. I'll come back to it in a sec. But trouble is, Omar, a lot of other clubs in this league have a number of midfielders who weighed in with a number of goals. No goals from Denore or Mitchell this season. Was there a goal from Mitchell last season? He don't score many though, does he? I don't think there was a goal from him.
I think he scored one in a League Cup for us, didn't he? Like in his first season, I think it was, from memory.
And we'll also go on there. Casper isn't a player you'd take to war with you,
course.
and that's what Harris needs at the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was not even though I think he did in his first game go through someone though. I remember I think it might have been the Charlton friend. No, it was the one. There was a game he played where he went through someone, but he's not that kind of midfielder, is he? I suppose.
Someone's put Sean Williams.
Yeah, I mean, technically he's a good player. I'll give him that, but I think Casper offers you a bit more movement. Like he covers a lot of ground on the pitch, and I think Sean Williams was more of a kind of like holding player. Very good on the ball, great with a left foot. Obviously, they just called him the one, didn't they? But
two different players. But do you think Fleming is better than Dinor?
Oh, Ryan Wood's shout is unbelievable, by the way, comparing him to Ryan Woods. I'm here for this. Listen,
People are saying Andy Roberts, Les Briley and Casper. Dinor could thread a ball through the eye of a needle. He scored 4-0 win over Bristol City. Scored in a 4-0 win over Bristol City.
Who did? Mitchell.
No, I think he's on about what to call it, isn't he?
I'll tell you. We'll have a look. Go on, keep going.
Oh, okay. I was going to have a look, but yeah. Ryan Woods, Daily Millwall. Daily Millwall's just here for the piss take, but yeah, Ryan Woods. George Saville never makes one decent pass against Blackburn. Dinor is in a different league. 120-ish game for Billy and 1 goal. Omar on Red Bull mixed with Dinor. Dinor is a holding midfielder.
Going forward, though, personally,
never goes forward.
But
Connor, that's not where he wants to play. There, that's where he's told to play. So I get what you're saying, but he's been starved for that kind of license to kind of get forward. That's where he wants to play as a more attacking midfielder.
Allegedly, according to the Facebook comments, what Joe reads.
Yeah.
So look, you're all saying, he's 87% say he's good, 13% of you say he's average, and that's only because Omar is.
So Omar's part of the 13%.
I'm not even voted, so they haven't even voted. There you go.
We've stopped the vote, but yeah, at least we know now the votes work going forwards, which is a great thing. So yeah.
But yeah, Blackburn was not a great show. It was not a great showing, but we got the point. I'm happy. Look, let's keep going. Let's get another. Let's not lose on tomorrow. Then we'll go from there.
Whoever mentioned Ryan Woods, we never say that name like Saka.
Scalak.
Scalak.
Scalak was actually a decent player for Brighton when they got promoted the season before.
He got the most assists in the league or something. Yeah, that was it at the time. But yeah, we'll see.
The problem is that going back to the Harris debate and all that is that yes, okay, fine. That I think the decision's probably already been made here. I don't necessarily think what there was a couple of comments what I'll come to there where I think it was the Joe, the listener, has where are we? Bear with me. He come up with a comment. I think he come up with a comment. Where is it? There, yeah. Under Harris, our recruitment, which is already a problem, becomes twice as difficult. Players don't want to play his style. The better technical footballers want a progressive style.
I agree, Joe.
I agree too, and I think that's the problem is that if you look at, I want him to do us a job and get us safe and stay up.
I'm happy to take this on, by the way. Oh, go on, keep going. I'm going to take this on.
But what, you taking me on all that comment?
I'll take on you and the comment and Joe. I'll take everyone.
But the problem is,
boxing on a bit, and I'm ready for it.
Yeah. Okay. Right,
warm up.
Let's go. But the problem is this, right? When Harris left, we were dog shit. We were banging trouble, and yet.
But were we? Listen, but were we?
But he didn't have the budget.
It was October.
After.
But he hasn't got the budget now. Don't take the budget out of it. We don't have the budget unless we sell Fleming and Dinor, for instance, or unless someone out there is going to give us silly money for one of the other players. That's the only way we're going to move. We brought Edwards in for this new process of building up the youth, and then he didn't get the results because the players weren't performing, or he didn't have that. He didn't have that fear factor. What Harris has definitely got the fear factor because he scares the fucking shit out of me.
I put this question. I agree with Harris and the leadership qualities, and that's my big thing about Harris anyway, being back, which is great, and that's why we've seen the upturn in results, in my opinion. if I said to you we got relegated this season, but within
Mhm.
2 seasons we'd have a playoff final defeat and a playoff final win, get promoted, finish just outside the playoffs in the Championship, followed by survival the year after, is that on record a good record for a manager in charge of them 4 seasons?
I'm
The
not putting
questions
that
to the
into a
chat,
question.
and then Joe as well. Like, is that not so? Harris's last reign is looked on, and there's a lot of people say this in some reason in a negative term. Like, he got us promoted back to the Championship within
No,
2
it's not.
seasons.
It's
It
not
is
all.
though,
No,
because
but it's
towards the
all of
end,
it.
everyone's saying he
Towards
went
the
pretty
end.
tong. But
But it
listen,
did
that
though.
season, can I finish my point? The season before, when we was finishing in towards the relegation zone, he lost George Saville after the first game of the season. We had to then sign Leonards. We signed Bradshaw, who are still around now. So we talk about recruitment. There's still 2 big players that are around now that we all praise and think they're good players, right? We do. So recruitment was actually quite decent at the time, albeit into the season. I think Harris gets a lot of negativity for the style of football, but I think he had an idea of what he wanted to do with that team. And in that first game of the season, the year before, we was 2-0 up against Middlesbrough and drew 2-2. Game after, we lose our best player from the season before in George Saville. My point is that season to stay up and then try and go again. He got it wrong that summer, I think, I'll say that. You know, Matt Smith, Mahoney, Meredith went off the boil after doing so well the year before as well. There's things you can't legislate for in that team at the time, but I think he left because he felt he took as far as he could, but he wasn't pushed out the door. The fans were starting to turn a bit, but I don't think he deserved that at the time. I think he actually got us to a position where we were ready to then kick on with a new manager, and we did that with Rowett. And we almost did get, outside chance of the playoffs that year. I think he gets a lot of this. I think Harris gets a lot of slack for something he didn't actually oversee. I don't know at what point. I don't know. I think he gets a lot of stick for something that I think he obviously knows what a Mill player should be. He knows what a Mill player is required to be at the club, and I think at the moment he's getting the results to keep us up. But I don't think he's done a bad job in his last job. And a lot of people seem to think
Trouble
he
with
did.
Harris, though, Omar, I don't think we can evolve or move forward as a club with him in charge. He's doing a job for us at the moment, and I'm pretty sure he'll keep us up. But you've got to think about even Joe's comment about recruitment. If he was in charge this season, earlier season, would Tanganga and Obafemi come and join us because Harris is in charge? I guarantee they wouldn't. Would Casper Denor come? Probably not. Would Fleming come? Probably not. So what I'm saying is, under Harris, we're always going to play direct football, give away possession, and not many players, good players, want to play in that way of football. They want to play football. So I get he's good, and he'll do good when we're in adversity and we're on the back foot, or we're trying to escape relegation, or we're fighting for our lives, or try to get from League One to the Championship. But once we're in the Championship, the next step's Premiership. And we need that next level of manager and coaching to one, attract players, 2, to have better tactical ideas, and 3, to have the mouse to kind of
But look
evolve.
at Luton. Luton were the eruptors for it the last season, and I know Luton played probably a bit more football than Harris's teams ever would.
But their recruitment was better than ours.
Well, this is it. Then. So
100%.
But then recruitment is not just on the shoulder of the manager, is it? And I think this is my point, though, is it? So, like, I think
this is what we're saying. If you look into the recruitment setup of us, right, and look at the people who are there and everything else, they have been there for an awful long time. And my question is, have they progressed in the same style and speed as what the Championship has progressed? Because some of the recruitment team thingy, it's out there. You can look at LinkedIn and everything else. Some of them have been there 15, 16 years and stuff. And what I'm saying is, everyone's recruitment style, I suppose, especially after what Brentford and others has moved massively. The problem is that we are still pretty much in the Stone Age as such.
We're League One. We've got League One.
Well, I would say we're League Two, really, compared to, there's teams in League One which probably got better training facilities and better facilities than we have. And that's what I'm saying is that, are you going to be able to attract? You see, the thing is with Rowett, or with Edwards, as much as Edwards didn't work out and Rowett played boring football, there was something about them where people went, yeah, I'll come to you. Whether that be that they've known them before or whether or not they're excited with them, you could get players. My question to you then is this, right? To you two, before I come into some of these comments, what I've started here, what are good points, what I want to raise. Do you think if Harris was the manager, we would have got Obafemi and Tanganga?
I definitely prefer him no, because obviously he doesn't fit into this style of play. But maybe Harris would have signed someone completely different. Harris probably would have been more assuring for Keith and Moore from the start of the window, someone like that, for example.
And he might have got him because he's
might have
worked
done.
with him
He
before.
might have
We don't
done.
know what the relationship is there, but
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 I think, listen, I think what my point I'm trying to say is that there's one manager that gets us and one that didn't, and that was Joe Edwards. He flaked it towards the end. Edwards, you saw the pressure.
he
got
lost
to
the
him.
dressing room, didn't he?
And the pressure got to Edwards as well. Edwards, look at him. He was almost in tears after the Ipswich game. Like it was. You see that interview, and everyone spoke about it. But what Harris guarantees you is, especially at the Den, we're going to get a performance, whether that be backs against the wall or on the front foot trying to get it up and at him. He's playing the style of football at the moment. He doesn't have Morrison up front to aim the ball for a minute. He doesn't have Jed Wallace on the right to get him up further the pitch. I think he's doing remarkable the job he's doing in a minute, but if you give him the summer window, I don't see why he won't recruit players that fits his style of play to have a go. And I think I'm all for trying to be against the grain because everyone tries to play pretty football nowadays. We tried it under Edwards, albeit with not the right players. Everyone's saying we've got to move progressively as a club forward, but why can't we move progressively as a Millwall team where we're fucking difficult to beat, fucking full of little shit houses, and trying to play to our strengths of 2 wingers, 2 strikers, and have a go, and have midfielders that are going to try and put their effort in.
I mean, 2 people have got in the comments. Some of your comments, what you put in, like John Parr, the comment you wrote earlier on, I will come back to that in a bit. So don't panic. If your comment hasn't come up, it will be coming up. So don't panic. We will show all comments. But the Championship is a total different ball game since Harris left it. 100%. You agree with that, yeah? And I'm going to come back to a point where I don't know what show it was on now, Omar, but it was one when you were fairly regular, which obviously we're going to go back through the vaults to it. But when we had a discussion about it's all about the style of play, right? It doesn't matter what manager, it's about the style of play. And my biggest fear is that we had Rowett, who made decisions on players. Edwards come in and couldn't use that style of player we had in to fit into his style of play, and it didn't work. We've now got a mix of Rowett players, Harris players, Edward players trying to be formed into a Harris style of play. And listen, don't get me wrong, we're going to war. There is no one more. There is no one more than I would want Harris in the trenches, right? 100%, because he will fire the team up, he'll get them working properly, all of that, and he will absolutely fucking ruin them if they don't perform. So I've got no issue with that. What I'm saying is, does it really matter what manager we have going in if we've got a style of play what's not been decided and a recruitment team what possibly isn't necessarily playing to that style? They're playing to what you think in the last season, 2 seasons, we've had 3 managers. We're on our 3rd manager, and each one of them plays a different style of play.
I just don't get the argument about style play either, about the Championship moving on either. We went 21 games unbeaten in the Championship with Ben Marshall on the left, and on the right we had Jed Wallace, and a back 4-4-2, Morrison and Gregory up front. We went 21 games unbeaten that year when you had Aston Villa in the league, you had Fulham in the league, you had Wolves in the league, you had teams that play football, you had Brentford in the league, we had Derby County that were playing under Rowett at the time playing football. I just don't get the argument that we know our strengths as a club, Millwall. We know what we succeed at. We know what we've succeeded at for the last 30 years, the last 100 years. Why are we turning away from that? Why don't we just try and embrace that and have
100%?
So this is my point, though. Like, I don't want. We tried it under Edwards. Okay, we didn't give it long enough. We'd have ended up in League One, I think, if he was still here now, personally. And that's just my opinion. I get what everyone's saying, move forward, but hold on to your roots and what we're good at. We're never going to spend 20 million in one window and sign a ball playing midfielder, a ball playing defender, someone up front that's going to make movement and be a false 9. We're never going to have that money. Why don't we just stick to what we're good at as a club, and to have players in there that have got the character to play in front of full house Den, that want to be there, that want to kick on and be what Millwall is. Like, you saw it last Saturday at the Den. I don't understand why we're so against that. Let's try and embrace what we're about and have a go as that. And that's what Harris is going to get next season if he keeps us up.
You see, what I think is the club's really clever here, right? We had that away game where Harris come in. So you had the buzz, the excitement of Harris coming in. And realistically, you knew that something was going to happen on that first game. Then when we had the home game, it was the community game, right? And there was something there. We went away to Blackburn in the week and we sort of, we got the point. But this game this week, is the Jimmy Mizzen Day, where obviously we raise as much money. So make sure you've got loads of change. We raise as much money as we can for Jimmy Mizzen on the day. And obviously Jimmy Mizzen's family, and they do loads of kids stuff, community and all that again for Jimmy Mizzen. And that's going to get the crowd already on side anyway. The crowd's going to be fucking well up for that game. It's going to be a full house. Everyone's going to be geared up for it. So again, the atmosphere is going to be great. It's Birmingham as well. So everything's going to be heavily focused. So realistically, if you think about everything there, really, we should win that game. But then going forward from there, we got Leeds afterwards, didn't we? We got Leeds the following week.
No chance of winning that Leeds, by the way.
But that's what I'm saying to you. Yeah. We then got Leeds, and we go. It seems to be at the moment that we have a game where they know we're going to perform with whatever atmosphere. So the first one was the away. Harris, look, your saviour's back. Blah blah blah. Bang, go out and win. And then we have the home game, which is a community game. We go out and win. We have nothing. We go away to Blackburn, who's probably one of the worst performing teams in the league, and fucking shite. And they had 70% possession over us. Now we've got a home game against Birmingham, which really, with everything going on, I think the atmosphere will be electric. I think we probably win. But then we're going to Leeds away, where again you're already saying now, I don't know if we'll win that.
Yeah, but listen, pick and choose your battles at the moment. It's hard to predict what this team's going to be like in the future. I think, look, just long term, we'll move forward to Saturday's game now and talk about it a bit more, I suppose. But I move on to previewing that. But I just think, listen, I don't turn your nose up on something that's been so good for us the last 20, 30 years. Why are we too good for that all of a sudden? We've not earned the right to be too good for that. And also the changes we want to make. I get the progressive shout. I get trying to, but listen, that's a 5-10 year thing. It's never going to happen overnight. So that's in this scenario now. We're in the Championship. We're not going to reinvent the wheel in this division. If we got relegated, and then maybe the club said, let's change a shift to better style football. Meaning we're going to play out from the back and have this and that. And I'm for it, but it can't happen in this division with our budget. It's got to be a case of going again in League One and coming up. I think that's the situation. I get it, but listen. I don't see why we're turning our nose up at something that we've always been at. And I'm not saying hoofball's the answer, but we know what a good Mill side is. And listen, I'll tell you now, if Jed Wallace comes back for us next summer, I can see that, by the way. Just throw that in. Do you see Jed Wallace coming back, anyone? Listen, I don't think he would, and I don't think it'll happen. But that's the kind of players Harris will end up looking for, wouldn't he? But it wouldn't surprise me. West Brom, they've got a new owner now, haven't they? West Brom, so that's changed, isn't it?
He's playing now. He's played started the last few games, isn't he? As well. I keep watching that, hoping there's a fallout.
I can't see him
doesn't play.
No, he's
I can't see him coming back.
He never will come back. But if they're still in financial constraints, I don't know. I don't follow West Brom's off the field.
If he does come back, he'd be like right on the tail end. Like,
yeah,
he'd be sort of 32 years old.
And I was saying he's got to come back anyway. But yeah,
we'll come back to Speed Demons in a sec because he's raised a couple of points. But look, Joe says there again, we need to play a better style of football, but that doesn't mean it's tippy-tappy. There are many ways and styles, not just sit back and counter or tappy-tappy.
Too right. I agree with him.
I have a feeling we'll get a result against Leeds under Harris.
Well, we need that following to go up there. Everyone pay £45 a ticket. I'll see you up there.
I'll see you up there as well. Heard Omar as a secret vermin term.
Give over. Fuck off. Dan's on a wind up.
He's always on a wind. He's probably about fucking 4 cans deep on his special brew.
Oh, strong by dark fruit. I'll see you, Dan. Don't worry.
Oh, Dan, you've been outed. Oh, dear.
So anyone that drinks dark fruit, you're not worthy of conversation with me at the minute. Dan.
Yeah, that's fucked up. So,
I don't know. Maybe I've gone a little tirade there, but I don't see where the snobberies come from a club like us to what we're deep rooted about. That's just me.
Omar, I think if the budget permits, the way forward is to evolve and change our football and play, expansive football, possession football, what you want to call it. But I think the bottom line is we haven't got the budget to sign the best players. Our recruitment is shit, so we can't even buy players and then sell them on for a return on our investment, like the likes of Brentford have done and Peterborough have done and whatever. So the trouble is, unless we change our backroom staff, so Mickey mentioned it earlier about our scout stuff. Like, I'm sure one of our scouts was like a postman 3 years ago. Like, honestly, it's that fucking shocking. It's that bad.
Comment, sorry, but yeah, that will come to
It's that bad. So unless all that changes behind the scenes, our scouting and director of football, that has to change in order to get our recruitment right to then play at football. But until that happens, then as much as I don't want to agree with you, Omar, I do agree with you that we have to play to our strengths, and that means buying low budget players that are effective in a 4-4-2 direct football.
Yeah, that's why I was laughing at that.
Sorry, for those of you listening to the podcast, Dan Riggs has just posted a comment what basically says, where I said, "Oh, you've been outed." He said, "I've been outed as much as Omar's hairline. Love you,
It's still intact. It's still intact. Don't worry. And being from Turkey, worst case scenario, I'll go and get it sorted in a few years' time. So it's all right. I'll go and speak to my uncle, get it sorted.
Also, let us know in the comments as well if you like the new polls. And it would have been tonight, but Sunday night, WhatsApp will be back. Will be on. And also, we'll probably have it running after tomorrow's game where you'll be able to leave voice messages or video clips, and then we will play them out on the show on Sunday.
I agree with Steve Demon's comment though as well. Speed Demon say nothing.
No dick pic. Why the fuck? Sorry. One second. Why the fuck?
Listen,
you said it.
No.
More. You got to clip that.
You said fucking dick pics. I didn't. Right?
And you just read with me.
Whenever we have a conversation. Yeah, only because you went, dick pics. And I went, no dick pics. You know what I mean? Because you said it, and there'll be someone in the comments or someone watching back at this who will go, oh, I'll do that.
Back to Speed Demon's comment anyway, quickly. Well, sorry, Mickey, 1 second. Just go back to that one
start calling Joe Narnia.
Utter nonsense. You cannot consider. Listen, he's right on the possession front to an extent, but it's about what you do with the ball as well. And I'm sorry, I just don't want to see Jake Cooper receive the ball on the turn and try to take the ball upfield when Jake Cooper is a defender. Jake Cooper's not a ball playing defender. Jake Cooper doesn't. He's not that player to kind of hold the ball and play possession, because we play sideways, back to Sarkic, who then boots it up the field. What's the point of that? Like,
can I just say as well, to add to that point, again, I hate agreeing with Omar because I want to try and cause a bit of a debate here. It's quite fun to do that. But Leicester won the Premier League, and that season, on an average, they had less than 50% possession.
And we beat them in the FA Cup.
And they won the Premier League.
It's not all about possession. It's just what you do with it. And listen, long term, it's not sustainable to have 60% pass success rate. We've got to do better with the ball. But then Harris was the first to say that after Tuesday. I was there Tuesday. It was fucking shit. It was so bad. Thank God I looked worse for pre-game and had a few beers, because it made it a bit more enjoyable. Just
actually quite good.
I'm like, that's what I mean. But that's it. That's the way Millwall is done. I still go, and I have been always, and I never will stop going, because that. But I want better, of course I do. But I don't want us to then lose what we're about as a club, and that's my point. I want us to keep what we've got, but with the modern day take of football, and there is a way for that. But under Edwards, we lost that bite to us. We lost that steel with defensive, kind of.
Lost the dressing room, didn't he?
Yeah, well, you can only come out after so many games and criticise players every week, and then look, that's what happened ultimately for Edwards. And I so wanted it to work for him.
So did I.
I so wanted it to work for him, and I thought he was the answer as well. Just at the wrong time, probably, and that's the reality of it.
Let's go through to some of these starred comments, because we are looking to tie up because of the boxing tonight, hence why we're on early. So, Andrew Roberts says, would fans take a Joe Edwards-like manager working alongside Harris next season to get the ethos of Millwall, what it's all about, for him to then take over and Harris to move upstairs? We have another one from Sliding in Crap, whatever. Senegal.
Over Senegal Fields.
Sliding in
crap over Senegal Fields.
Over Fields. Oh, there we go. Yeah, right. So their thing is, I see a scenario of we survive and Harris gets his remaining 12 months paid up and offered the director of football role. Win-win with us, safe, and his reputation is on a high.
I reckon he's over 45 years of age.
Aren't we looking at Now Smith, the Hearts manager? I don't know if we are.
Naismith. There's a rumour going around, Mickey, that Mill will try and line him up for next season.
I saw that.
I don't know whether there's any truth on that.
It comes from
football league.
Yeah,
are they legit, or are they a bit shit?
They're one of the first ones to get criticised.
Oh, really?
Okay. Yeah, they're the ones who some of our best Millwall Twitter accounts with their rumours, I think, come from there. But yeah, there's another one there. Luton didn't have a huge budget, did they? It's not impossible to recruit better.
Recruitment's definitely got to be better.
footer.
But they're trying to get that kind of structure in, ain't they?
The difference with Luton is the budget was low, but they bought the right kind of players. They brought agile players, fast players. They had a couple of lone players that had speed. They had all the players that Joe Edwards probably wanted this season. And that's why they were able to play a little bit more.
Freddie Udimo as well, then.
Again, it's an agile player.
Yeah, but once he got to the Premier, he never got a game, and he's gone down the league. So Lawrence Whitehead says, "Agree. The whole club needs a restructure."
Yeah.
Right. Speed Demon. This is the ones who I highlighted earlier, and I want to get him in. The football was crap under Harry from Neil before, and it's crap now. For now, it's okay, as he might be what we need to stay up. But it has no future and it's not sustainable playing that way. Then he comes in and says, what has worked for us in the past will not work for us in the future. We have had no 6 foot plus striker. So that's just nonsense. I'm sorry.
But that's my point. It's what somehow he's still getting results, and it's not sustainable. I agree. Do you know what? If we go 1-0 down, and everyone's like, "What we can do next?" I don't think we'll retaliate. I don't see what if you're coached into playing this way for the last few weeks. I reckon if we go 1-0 down, the players won't know what's hit them and think, "What are we meant to do now? We're meant to go forward and attack," because they're so used to sitting back and defending. I don't see. It is gonna. It's a tough watch.
That's a good point, Omar.
It's a tough watch, and I'm the first to acknowledge that, but I'm not judging Harris on this. I'm judging Harris on results. That's all I'm. And so far,
I would take this football for the next 10 games to ensure safety. What I won't accept is this football at the start of next season if we stay up.
Agreed.
That's the difference. But you can't make a decision. You can't make an observation now on what Harris is going to do next season because we're not at next season yet. And I really do think come next season if we stay up, we're going to see him giving it a go and play a bit more attacking football. Yeah. But at the moment, it's needs must, isn't it?
Yeah. Is it no coincidence that Cooper has looked much better since we started playing a back four?
Because the goal kicks are going over his head. They're not
he's not asked to pass the ball more than
the ball's not going through his feet. I reckon if you look at every time he touched the ball, it's about less than half the amount he was under Edwards. Do you know what I mean? It's no coincidence. Jake Cooper's not a ball playing defender. Never has been. Never will be.
Our French correspondent, Lalaya Nablo, he says it ain't just about managers attracting players. Do they also want to play in front of badass supporters?
You've got to be a character.
My chat's busted. Anyone else? Well, it don't look as if it's busted because we've seen your message there, fella. Andy Roberts says if we get Naismith as manager, he'd just fill the squad with Nesbitt like jocks.
Well, it worked well the last time we went to the Scottish Premier League to get a manager, didn't it? About 10 years ago. Steve Lomas.
And thank you very much for Kai with his fuck off Lomas. Do you know what I mean? He had that sign at the first game, didn't we?
We got him to thank for it.
When he was about 14 years old or 13 years old. Do you know what I mean? Remember when he told us that? I think he was younger than that. He told us that, and we went, "Oh right," and he showed the video clip to us. And then we went, "Oh right, how old were you there?" And he went, "Oh, I was about 11 or something, wasn't it?" And it's like, do you know what I mean? It's like, shit.
And now he's working for the club.
Yeah.
and I don't think, is he 21 yet? He ain't, is he?
I don't know. Not sure. The sign wasn't actually his, though, was it? I don't think.
That was his. No, the one he had the little one, not the one on the gate. He had a little one in the stand. Yeah. So let's go. No, he did. He's got the video. We've got the video. So not many of you voted. Not many of you liked. There's more people voted on this than they've pressed like tonight, and that says a lot. Maybe Omar staying away does work. I don't know, but there's 36 votes
today and backed Harris.
Yeah,
what can I say? Of course, it's going to go one way.
So Saturday's game: Birmingham to win is 8%, Millwall to win is 78%, and a draw is 14%.
Yeah.
So
Leeds are doing us a favour, by the way. Sheffield Wednesday losing 1-0.
Oh, that's good.
And that's a nice derby. But yeah, I mean, Leeds is going to be interesting. I've got a bit of a challenge to see whether or not I drive faster than Stephen and we can get to Leeds quicker than what he does today.
It was a cosy journey. I wasn't criticising it, but he's definitely a miles per gallon driver, and that's fine.
I'll be turning
reverse, so you still get.
Don't worry,
wheel.
I'll be turning my car journey into a driving lesson for Omar because he fucking scares the shit out of me when he drives. So yeah,
Shut the fuck up.
it's got Omar should drive a BMW rather than a Volkswagen because he doesn't know where his fucking indicators are. He don't know where the fucking look in his mirrors. So he fucking.
I don't ever cut anyone up.
Doesn't realise you've got to slow down. Don't cut anyone up, my fucking.
I don't cut anyone up, mate. Don't even want to.
So Leeds 1-0 up. What's that WhatsApp number? It will be out over the next day or so. I've got the phone and I've got the SIM card and I just need to load it up. I just need to reset the phone and load it up and then that will be it. There is another one. And I'll tell you what we're looking to do. So hopefully it will get done later on tonight so that you've got it for tomorrow. And I'll tell you what, ideally, if you can do, would be great. Get your comments, get your scores into the chat. We've got about 5 minutes left before we go
scores.
off.
And I know it's probably a topic for another day, but there was a mention of season tickets there. I actually quite like the club freezing the prices. I know obviously League One football's potentially looming, so they can't necessarily put the prices up. But I thought fair play to the club for freezing the prices for next season. It will be just for a month. So,
by the way, I'd like to say that if anyone wants a haircut, then Chris Brown is your hairdresser extraordinaire, mate, and he's got the Range Rover to fucking match.
Hasn't Chris got less hair than you, though?
No, he's still a fucking hairdresser. He drives a Range Rover, fucking small roof, fucking Vogue.
The Vogue ones, whatever.
Oh, the hairdresser car.
Yeah, a bit like what Chris has got.
Oh, yeah. Especially for long hairdressers.
So we're going with the scores. We're going. Alex has gone 2-1 to Millwall. Up the Lions has gone 3-1 to the Lions. Dan Riggs has gone 1-0 Wall. Shitty bum time, Bubba Fenny. Okay. No idea of the score, but just hope we win. Peter Sullivan has gone Mill 1, Brom 3, sticking with Busby. Daily Millwall, Spurs removing OAP discount, shameful club. You see,
I understand what their prices as well.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying there, but all your old people get fucking everything cheap. Do you know what I mean? Listen, we have to pay fucking full price.
You say that now. Wait till you're a few years older. You'll be straight on it going, what a fucking liberty. They put the prices up.
But, when you're a student, you get student discount. If you're unemployed, you get fucking discount. If you're fucking old, you get discount. All of us in the middle, what are paying most of the taxes, we get fuck all. Do you know what I mean? It's like every year you watch the budget and he goes, we've increased the tax threshold for low-earning people down to thingy. You're going, fuck me, I used to be able to earn that much before I paid fucking the upper rate, and now I've got to pay that much before I get it. You're like, it's not a benefit to me, so yeah. Mickey, do you get OAP at Wall? No, fuck off. Be an ex-fan of the board, but I should get, the other ex-fan of the board gets free fucking exec tickets. I don't get any of them.
He's got a campaign for life, I've heard. The old ex-fan of the board.
I use my... use my pronoun names, you bastard. Sorry, Chris the bald-headed cunt.
He, him, her, she.
Connor says 2-0. John Parr, I am coming to your comment that you made earlier. Don't think I'm avoiding it. It will be finishing up on that one. Luke Smith, we haven't gone behind under Harris yet. I think we'll continue that trend tomorrow with a 2-1 win. 2-1 to the Wall for Mark. The Peckham Poet says 2-1 to the Wall. Andy Roberts says 2-1 to the Wall. Gaza says Gavin Maguire cuts my hair. Okay. Wall Chris says hairdresser Chris says 2-0 to the Wall. Mickey, Rich, if you're watching, do us a nice key ring saying hairdresser Chris Brown for me, please. Dan Riggs, you're a cunt. 2-0, and I'm going to put my OAP money on it. Yeah. Disgusting. Yeah, all the old boys are having a pop at me now, aren't they? Yeah. Disgusting, Mickey. You know what? That's actually, hang on. Sorry. I've just thought our biggest audience is the OAP area. So I'll take that back. I think it's disgusting. I think the Millwall should never ever do.
They'll all go for you, mate.
You're all right.
Listen, it's all about the comments. It's all about the comments now. Look, I don't necessarily think. I mean, the discount weren't there, but yeah, I'm not going to go back.
10 years time. Talk about 3 years time.
I do think that it will be a thing. What will end up going across all the clubs? Ooh. Because if you look at Millwall, they raised the age, didn't they, from 60 to 61 to 62, I think, or 63 now before you get the OAP discount. So I think it's a club or a league thing across the club, because we are not football fans anymore. We are a commodity, and it's all about how much money they can make out of us every game. And it always
do you want my score prediction, Mickey, as well?
All right, Mark.
Should we wrapping up now?
Yeah. Go on. Give us it. While I'm going through the comments.
I've just seen Garrett's face on the TV. I just thought I'd let everyone know that as well. But I'm going to go 1-0 Millwall tomorrow, and Jake Cooper's going to score that header that I'm backing for the last 3 games. There you go.
We're 0-0.
Joe?
If we do win, it's 1 goal in it. So it's either 2-1 or 1-0.
Yeah.
Just be different. I'm going to say 2-1.
There you go. Jake Cooper scoring tomorrow, guys. I think it's 16-1 score header. Just if you want to get on it, I'm on it.
Daily Millwall is 60. Daily Millwall is 64 next year.
Up to 64 next year.
Next year, it's up to 64 next year. Yeah, I told you. So yeah, by the time I get one, it will be 87. So yeah. If I was an OAP and had to choose between turning the heating on or watching Spurs, the heating wins every day. Yeah.
You'll have a very hot house, wouldn't you?
Not to worry, Mickey. The ramps for entry will be bigger for you to stumble and rattling. Right. I don't want to be.
You deserve it. You deserve it, mate.
Yeah,
you do deserve it.
Yeah,
you deserve it.
I'm happy. I'm happy on Sunday to have a proper discussion with you if you want, because I want to talk about Leeds and I want to talk about the Leicester stuff as well, which obviously we didn't really get to go in tonight, but I want to know some more about it, and I need to find out some more about the Leeds tickets because they're just thingy. John Parr, I've not heard this rumor, but I know that it was always, even JB was, if the right offer come in and it made sense for the club and everyone around it, then it'd be open to any offer. But whether there's a difference between actively putting the club up for sale, which I don't think it is, and the fact that someone come in, let's be honest, if we had a Qatar, royal family or a state back, someone with a lot of money suddenly come in and wanted to offer Millwall, 150 million or something, then they would definitely probably, you wouldn't not think about it, would you? Don't forget, JB over his time here has put best part of over 100 million in.
I think there's an element also that JB Junior's, he said it himself, he's naive to it and new to the game, right? So I suppose, does he have the same passion that John Berylson had, that to pick up the club and take it on? I mean, he says he's going to do it his dad's honour, so I don't know how, but that's commendable. And he's, so far he's put money in. Think about how much money he spent this season. In the summer window he spent a bit of money. We then had to sack Joe Edwards, which I'm sure would have cost quite a few bit. And I've heard the figures, but I don't know if that's true or not. So there's no point saying them. But I think we can all guess 2.5-year deal for a manager to pay him up. It's going to cost you an arm and a leg. So a lot of money's been spent this year.
He weren't on a bundle. I think I don't think he was on that sort of money. I don't think he was on nowhere near around it. But yeah,
I wouldn't expect it to be millions of pounds. Don't get me wrong, but it would have cost
about 300 grand a year, I reckon. I reckon it would cost him $500,000 to pay.
So at least $500,000 to pay him off. So it's been an expensive season.
I mean, just before we do go, I heard a thing about that actually a lot of the times they don't actually pay the managers off. What they do is they keep paying them until they get another job, and then once they get another job, then they stop paying them. So does that mean that we're paying Rowett while he's on Sky News on every one of our fucking games? Because he'll be on Leeds.
Watford had multiple clubs, the Pozzo family, and they'd put them on garden leave, then they'd give him a job at one of their other clubs, wouldn't they? That was the joke going around at the time, and to go back to another club. But I imagine Edwards is on like a certain amount of money every year. If he takes another job somewhere else, he'll then lose some of that money, but it's still going to cost you a fair bit to pay him off.
Plus Andy Myers as well, don't forget. So he'll be paid off as well.
Exactly.
So look, thanks very much, Joe in the chat, for listening. We're not seeing, I don't know if you've commented before or not. I've not really seen you about on the chat before, so thanks very much. Any others of you who are there, please make sure to press the subscribe button and obviously the notifications and all of that.
And come for a beer down the blue bus tomorrow. I'll be there at the blue tent from about 1ish. If you fancy it. You can see Dan Riggs have a strong red hot fruit. So
get there fairly early, because by about 2:30, Omar's usually fucking lagging, and he wouldn't know who you are.
No chance. But
so get there early.
Fucking hell! Where? It's. Oh, there it is.
Shut the fuck up, Joe.
Oh, we might
Do you know
have
what I mean?
video, Nick.
No, I haven't lost it. But look, that is it for tonight. We will be back on there. What I'm going to say before we end is that the WhatsApp number will go out tomorrow. And ideally, what I'd love to be able to do and going forward is through the game or whatever, just send it a voice note of bits of the game or anything else. Because we're looking, if we can get enough of those come in, then we'll put them together into a little clip and post them out. Because obviously, if it's voice notes only, it'll be quite funny. And again, if you want, send us a video. To put to things, then you can, but obviously you'll be able to do that all across WhatsApp. And if you want to send dick pictures, I will get you Joe's number because he will appreciate it more than any of us. So yeah, Spencer, good evening, fella. Just want to make sure we get all the chats, or that fucking French geezer will moan like fuck at me. That is it. Any final words, Omar?
No, just come on your lines. Hopefully we get the result tomorrow, and back them, be there tomorrow and be accountable, boys. And it's not gonna be pretty, but listen, if we get the result we want, that's all that matters. Get to claw our way to safety.
Joe, I would ask you if you've got any final words, but you fucking said enough tonight.
Oh, giddy up and get away. Oh, we're going Millwall, how we're going today. Here we go, rocking all over the dance.